Okay.
And we invited you in.
Gentlemen,
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to watch
these
the video.
matters.
And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
The Attorney General of the United States of America is a crash out Karen. Like, what are we doing, folks? Up next, we got to talk about one final thing today. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, she just testified in Congress before the House Judiciary Committee, primarily, although not exclusively, about the Epstein Files. And my God, it was an absolute clown show circus. Kind of all around, the members did not cover themselves in glory, including many of the Democrats who were so hostile and so adversarial and would not let her get a word out. And so I understand her frustration. But Pam Bondi, God, this was embarrassing. This display from her at this hearing. She had no composure. She was so openly partisan, and she lashed out in the most unprofessional ways and made some extraordinarily tone-deaf comments. We're going to run through it because I think it is part of a broader problem. And that problem for the administration is named Pam Bondi. I mean, from the beginning, when she brought all the influencers and gave them binders labeled Epstein Files for a photo op, as if that was just a funny, haha, cute thing. And then it was all just mostly information that was already public. It was not the actual files, turning it into a gimmick, telling us that she had the files on her desk when apparently that was not true. All these scandals she's really handled quite poorly. And she seems to only still be in the job because every time she's in front of a camera, she just flatters Trump, which maybe if she wants to be a press secretary or, you know, some kind of more partisan official, but the top law enforcement official for the United States of America and the federal government is not supposed to be a partisan cheerleader and is not supposed to behave in the way in which Pam Bondi behaved in this hearing. So we're going to run through a couple clips. So this first clip came after Congressman Jerry Nadler, who is a high-ranking Democrat, asked her an adversarial question about how many co-conspirators of Epstein have you indicted. The answer, I believe, is 0, and that's what he was trying to get out of her. But she ended up snapping at them in a very partisan manner. Listen to this.
I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
Wow. So I think he's being rude. He didn't even give her a chance to answer before trying to interrupt. I understand the representatives have limited time, but at least give her a second to try to answer before you assume she's going off topic and interrupt her. But then, like, she's so aggro. This was right at the beginning, guys. This was like pretty fresh out of the gates. One of the first couple people to interview her. And she was so aggro. And we haven't even gotten to the most unhinged part yet.
Question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very interesting.
Reclaiming my time.
I think it's very interesting.
You can
When
reclaim
he
your
talks
time,
about
but
they
reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they
Close the
indicted
clock.
him twice.
Mr. Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go with these
Committee will be in order.
theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to answer.
The question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
Reclaiming my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
Reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds,
I
Mr.
am
Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
Answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way.
Reclaiming-
And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, oh, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
I'm sorry, but our government is such a joke. These are all such pathetic and unserious people, clownish behavior all around, really. But the Attorney General of the United States having a conflict with the Democratic member and saying such insulting things to him directly is ridiculous, is totally unprofessional. You're the top law enforcement officer of the United States of America. God forbid you comport yourself with a little bit of dignity or class, Pam Bondi. God, what are we doing, people? Can't you take your jobs a little more seriously, even if you don't have respect for the person that you're talking to? Couldn't you have a little more respect for the institution of Congress and of the Department of Justice than this? Even if they want to get down in the gutter and they want to come for you, you could still, I know this is like a foreign concept in politics in 2026, take the high road. Not bite the bait, not start mudslinging and insulting people in this juvenile and unprofessional way. What are we doing here? The Attorney General literally called someone a washed up loser lawyer. Oh my goodness. And it got worse, actually, like low key. So most of the questions were about Epstein, and many of Epstein's victims, the survivors, were there in the audience. Yet Pam Bondi decided, when given the opportunity to address some of these concerns that were brought up by a Republican member who just turned his time over to her, she decided to start bragging about the stock market. Listen to this.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan,
Yeah. What does the Dow have to do with anything? What does the stock market have anything to do with the Department of Justice and your job as Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, as the nation's top prosecutor? That's not your lane. That's not part of your... Obviously, the stock market is important, and it's good that it's hitting record levels, but you've been grilled about the Epstein Files and your failure to redact victim names and identifying information, and the fact that you keep redacting the names of alleged co-conspirators, even though that's not what the law compelling the release of the files says you're supposed to do. You literally have Epstein's victim sitting behind you in that room, and you're bragging about how well the stock market is doing and saying they should be talking about that instead. That is absurd, and that is tone deaf beyond belief. This woman is an embarrassment to the Trump administration. Sorry, not sorry. That's the truth. Now, Congressman Thomas Massie, who is a Republican but has really broken with the Trump administration, particularly on this Epstein Files question, he engaged with her and she crashed out on him as well. The Attorney General of the United States of America is a crash out Karen. What are we doing, folks? He asked her, he put up, and I'll only show you a brief snippet of this because I watched the full exchange, but it's quite lengthy. He basically put up some of the documents that they released as they belatedly complied with the law compelling them to release the Epstein Files. And he pointed out the fact that they failed to redact victim names, and that the fact that they also covered up different conspirators. And he's like, why? You're not supposed to be. And he's asking her these questions in an adversarial and tough way, but she decides to snap at him and insult him personally instead. Listen to this.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700,
Okay.
and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please.
We are so cooked as a society. This is our government. This is the Attorney General of the United States, people. And he's asking her, this is a Republican, and yeah, he's been critical of Trump lately, but still, he's asking her serious questions about their botched release of the Epstein Files and the mistakes they made redacting them. And her response is to call him names and insult him personally and accuse him of having Trump derangement syndrome. Sorry, no, it's not Trump derangement syndrome to want to know why you released victims' names who didn't want to be identified when you were supposed to redact it. It's not Trump derangement syndrome to ask why you're still redacting possible co-conspirators' names in some of these file documents when you're not. In fact, this is something the Trump administration promised and campaigned on doing. They really fought tooth and nail to avoid doing, and now they've actually done it in a way that's pretty haphazard and unprofessional. And then you have the Attorney General coming before Congress, facing serious scrutiny and oversight. And yes, a lot of these people are partisan as well and made clowns of themselves in different ways, though I wouldn't apply that to Thomas Massie. I think he's done important work on this in many ways. But the Attorney General, I just don't understand how anyone can have confidence in her at this point to actually be a even remotely independent or nonpartisan prosecutor, or to seriously enforce the law or comply with the different regulations that have been passed by the people's representatives almost uniformly and almost unanimously. I mean, she just so quickly resulted to ad hominem insults and personal attacks and whataboutism. Like, she also brought up Thomas Massie asking her all these questions about the Epstein Files, and she starts bringing up unrelated votes that he's voted in a controversial way on. And it's like, ma'am, you are not a daytime TV host or a nighttime pundit or a member of Congress fighting like Jasmine Crockett and Nancy Mace going at each other and or I think maybe, who was it that Jasmine Crockett, yeah, Nancy Mace said to Jasmine Crockett, let's take this outside. Like, it's sad that we even expect that from members of Congress, to be clear, but like, we've been new that Congress has become a joke. The Attorney General, God, I feel like that could have been, like, in Trump 1, let's say this, the first Trump term, none of his attorney generals would have behaved like this. Jeff Sessions would never have behaved like this before Congress. Bill Barr would never have behaved like this before Congress. It is absolutely disgraceful, in my opinion. And I think Trump should fire her and replace her with somebody more serious and more professional. But that's just my take. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. And aren't you just so glad that our government is so serious and so professional and just doing absolutely amazing over here? Anyway, guys, that'll be it for today's episode of the Barad versus Everyone podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk again real soon.